time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
Brett Hastings stopped by. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. I'd say, hey, big guy, but I'll go, hey, medium-sized guy.
It's unbelievable. I've become a medium-sized guy. It's very depressing.
Welcome to the club.
Life-changing.
Me and Hayes are glad you're here.
Life-changing is
you
what it
keep
is.
shrinking, man.
You have a fun topic today because it's an important topic. And Brett does a great job of, he doesn't just take us through these topics, but he picks them for us because he knows our listeners. We've done this since 2004, by the way.
Right.
So we're not 21 years of doing sports in court. So
when you were 6'4".
Yeah, when I was 6'4". Well played. And so we've done this a while, so you have a pretty good feel for people. But this is a big one, not because it has anything to do, people don't care about college tennis, I don't think. But it's way bigger than that. Take us through the class action suit now. Ongoing, I think?
It's ongoing. A couple of things that are interesting. It was brought in federal court in North Carolina by a girl or a woman who's a collegiate, tennis player.
Right.
And the rules are you can't have more than $10,000 in prize money at any time. Now, if you win one of these tournaments, we all know it's a lot more money as it relates. And what I think is interesting, and a lot of the feedback, I had people calling, texting, running into me at the grocery store, and when Trump had entered that executive order, I think that really got people to think, and one of the things they kept asking me about are, hey, what about these non-revenue sports, right? Like all this money is going there. So this is a really unique one. Now, they sought an injunction, and the court denied the injunction. But the court said, you know what? We think it's pretty thin. People are still going to go to school. We're going to let this play out, but has given every other indication, especially by certifying the class, right? Now, at this point, the court has not ruled on the likelihood of success on the merits, but you got to think this is a really strong class action because if you take Trump's order, which is concerned about the non-revenue sports, right? And, we were just talking off the air, watching this Netflix special. Well, every time they interview DJ Lagway or these players, they're in like $150,000 German sports cars.
Right. And
they're talking as they're driving around. And so it's really striking just to see what these guys have in college now, right? So it would be really weird if over in the places where the NIL dollars aren't going, where those things aren't being shared, if a young man can go earn $60,000 in the offseason by going out and trying to play on the golf tour, right? Look at Florida. One of the things that we get super proud, Hayes always has the cool stats, how many Olympians there are, right? And just like you were saying, you got the dream team. Now you got the professionals that play out there as it relates to amateurism. So we've already had that change legally. But if we're not going to act like these guys that are playing football and basketball aren't employees and that this money isn't just labeled a certain way, but ultimately is to pay for play. And so what we're saying here and what they're saying in this class is if you go out and compete and you earn the money, can we keep the money? And given the landscape, I can't fathom that they won't be successful in this class action and in this lawsuit. And exactly to what you were saying, why it'll be important are young golfers, right? Tennis. There's a whole litany of other sports. And one of the things that Trump kept saying in the executive order, and I was kind of taken back on it, but the more I thought about it, I give him credit for what he put in. It was those types of Olympic sports, right? Because these are ways to help people. Because if you look all the time now a lot of elite Olympian athletes, where do they train? They train back at Stanford. They train back at Florida. They train back at Texas, Auburn, from a swimming perspective, from a track perspective. So I think that would help with not only the Olympic effort. And why wouldn't you want to bring some of this money in when you're already trying to figure out how you're going to parse and spread some of this money with revenue sharing?
What else stood out about the executive order? Because we haven't really gone too far into that. I haven't looked at it or anything like that. But how does it help kind of move us along with this dilemma?
I think more than anything, it just says, hey, the president's going to throw his weight behind it. If there's going to be sort of a, quote, hope for change as it relates to this, it's to get Congress to put into place some type of federal legislation. One of the stories we were looking at, but it was small, and all of a sudden the order came out. So that week we didn't do, but they were getting ready to pass some changes in federal law to help boxing, right? Because they feel like boxing's struggling with what's going on with UFC. But here's what's really interesting. Boxing is the only sport in America that's regulated by the federal government, okay? None of the sports that we talk about here are regulated by the federal government. They're, the pro sports are regulated by each of those sports. Unlike every other sector of America where we have capitalism and competition, we have the biggest antitrust violators in the world are the NFL, right? The NBA and Major League Baseball. And that's kind of by design, and they're different, right? They're different than these other areas that we have. But I think if anything's going to come out of the executive order, it's sort of a mandate to say, hey, I want to see this happen. It doesn't change anything legally. It's not really going to change anything. It's kind of like a, quote, advisory opinion. But what's, I think, going to come out of it is whether or not, while, Trump has, Republican control of Congress, at this point, he can get it pushed through, because this is something that everybody agrees with. I think Democrats agree with it. It's something across the country. It's not really that partisan. People say, save the traditions of college sports.
Yeah, one thing about the executive order, I think that was a Friday you were off and Brett came in here. The key point, because I want to get back to this in a second, but the key point there, I think, is the country is run by judicial decisions and legislative actions, not by executive orders. They're more, it's not advice, but it's more a guidance than it is a mandate.
Typically, an executive order could fill in places, right, where there's an agency that is effectuating the law. This is in a new space, so it's not a law. So what you really need is a bill, right? Like, you need a bill, you need something to be passed, so then you could go and enforce it. And if you read it, if you do get a chance to read it, it's a long narrative at the beginning, which was actually pretty good. And it was saying, look, this is not good for college athletics. We've got to go and figure something out, as opposed to being what we usually see like in a statute or a bill or something that we would follow, where it's like, thou shalt do this, and lays it out.
Back to today's topic for a second, because it got me thinking. Okay, if you're a women's soccer player, okay, and you're really good, and you get to play on the U.S. women's junior team, and you're 17, your senior year in high school, and you get paid, okay? And you get paid, I don't know, $20,000 to play in some tournament, some international tournament. Does that now knock you out to go from going to play at Florida? I mean, and again, we may not know that answer specifically, because all we know in the story is the tennis. But you see my point. You should not be able to play at Florida,
right? Or
you with me? I mean,
my belief right now is the comp has to stay under these rules, right? So you got to stay under this $10,000 or what have you, And I think what you want to see happen is, we don't want to see people go to the pros, it not work out, and then come to college. So I think as long as it's one way, right? And here they're just saying, if we earn the right to the money, we should be able to take it. So I think that's
the thing you said a minute ago, as a baseball fan. Because these baseball kids get signed right out of high school, and maybe it would not bother me if a kid drafted out of high school, signs, goes to single A, goes to rookie ball, tries it 2 or 3 years, didn't work. He thought he wasn't ready, mature enough, and at 19 wanted to go out and play college baseball. That wouldn't bother me. I don't want to go see a guy go in the big leagues and hit 25 home runs and then come back and play college.
Right. LSU offers you $18 million.
So would that bother you? If it wouldn't bother me.
No, it does. I mean, I'm pretty flexible on all this stuff. I mean, I would have had no problem with Zakai Ziegler getting another year of eligibility.
You said that. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I just think if athletes can make millions of dollars, they shouldn't be told, no, sorry, you've got a very limited window and you've got to now go make that money in a different league. Well, I'm not good enough for that league. I'm not going to make anything in that league, but I'm good enough to make a couple $1 million a year in this league. I shouldn't have to leave it.
And I thought Zakai's compelling argument, I'm going to go to grad school too, right? I'm going to get an MBA. Yeah. If you tie some of those things together, why wouldn't we want to give people these opportunities?
I think if you're a good college player, if you're a high school kid, your whole goal, your whole life has been to play in college and youth soccer, whatever, and then you've got a chance, and maybe you don't have any money, you've got a chance to go make a little bit of money to play for your country in a 17U whatever soccer thing, and you go do it, and you have the time of your life, and you make 20, 30 grand or whatever the number is, and that helps you pay for the rest of college. The fact that you now can't play competitively in college for forever, I think it's way off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to ruin this Netflix thing, which everybody should see, which is great, but these guys are driving Mercedes Maybachs, right? Like
they're millionaires.
Yeah, DJ has the same car that Billy has, okay?
DJ's got a Lamborghini, doesn't he?
What?
The DJ's
there's multiple cars.
DJ, just like Carson Beck, he's driving a Lambo. I mean, you drive one, Hayes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you should see the parking lot out here at 10.
The hot pink one. I saw it.
The radio guys,
yeah.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is I think he's driving this one.
Yeah.
Because it's comp to him, right? And he buys the Lamborghini and all that. They're not just single cars, right? There was a time in college if the car had AC, you were a stud. Okay, that was it.
That's so true. But back to the whole point of this topic. Back to it. If DJ Lagway and Carson Beck can drive Lamborghinis, more power to them. And I understand why the school can't possibly generate the revenue to give a Lamborghini to the tennis player. We all understand that.
Right.
But if the tennis player can go get their own money because of the skill of their sport, to your point, why would that be any different? DJ Lagway's driving a Lamborghini and Carson Beck because of how good they are at football.
Right.
Okay. And I'm okay. I'm with you, Hayes. I'm totally okay with that. Well, if tennis player can go make $50,000 because they're how good they are at tennis, the rules shouldn't be different. And I'll bet that's the premise of the case.
100%. And, as I've said all along, the hypocrisy is, DJ Lagway, his name, image, and likeness is really worth something. Right?
Yeah.
The fifth-year tackle that was a late bloomer that nobody knows who they are, that got a $4 million name, image, and likeness deal, let's call it what it is. That is somebody who's being paid to play. So if you've got somebody who's going to go out, try the pro tour a little bit, but still be in school, grow as a human being, maybe meet their wife there, go in, find what their career may be after tennis, because, the chances are they're not going to be one of the most elite tennis players in the world and make a career. Why would we not give them that money and give them the opportunity to become better human beings in a college town? So, yeah, I think it's stupid. And I think this one's going to be a winner of a lawsuit. And
it should be.
My hope is that we don't have to go through lawsuits for young golfers, swimmers, track athletes, and that type.
I'll tell you this final thing, and this is a sort of related topic, but it's totally different, and maybe not even be that related. But one of my gripes, and it would change everything, coaches wouldn't like it, but I would. The beauty of what baseball does is baseball, you can get drafted. You're eligible for the draft. And if you don't get drafted or choose not to sign, you can still go play in college. I think football and basketball should have that. I think a football guy should say, okay, I'm declaring for the draft. But if I don't get taken or if I don't like where I'm taken, I'm going back to college. Now, the college coaches would hate that because it'd be harder to build their roster. But I think if it's what's best for these kids, baseball does it. Why don't the other sports have that?
Right.
I'd love to
I
see
think
that.
they should have done that yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
no question.
I mean, I just don't think, especially because you have all of these young athletes, and guess what? All the agents only get paid if they leave and get a contract, right? So are they really shooting them straight?
Yeah.
So be able to go see. Say, hey, you could be my agent if I go in the top part of the first round, and if I don't, I'm coming back to Florida, especially when, guess what? You're giving up the $2 million that you could pay in college.
Right.
Now.
At least basketball, you can go in for a while and come back. At least football can't even do that. At least basketball, you can stay in for a while. Sorry. Great work as always. That's Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Thank you, Brett.